Hello there, and welcome back to my bench once again. In today's tutorial I'm going to tie you up a very simple wet fly, and you've probably seen this fly in quite a few YouTube videos. It's just the red tag wet fly, but as you can see I added a little bit of flash to the tail, just 2 strands of pearl UV flash. It never hurts to have a little UV in your flies, so I thought you might like to see this little guy tied up. It's a good effective fly for swinging for brook trout, I find, in the river that I fish. If there's no hatch or anything happening much at all, I tie this little guy on and it usually works out for me. So I'll get him out of the vise here, a fresh hook in, I'll get started. The hook is simply a standard wet fly hook, 33.99 Must-Head, and I'll tie it on a size 10, the biggest size that I tie here for the video. We'll get that locked in the vise. Alrighty, now just adjusting the camera a little, folks, sorry about that. Okay, for thread I'm using UTC 70 denier in black for the thread. Alright, we'll start our thread base on here. Put a hook eye length behind the eye and we'll simply wrap back, forming a good thread base, and we'll snip off our tag end and wrap back about to above the barb, pretty much. Stop their thread there. Now for the tail, I'm using some red saddle hackle fibers, bright red, but I like to use the webby portion at the bottom of the hackle. It's a lot softer, better for wet flies. So I'll pull off a small bunch here. Don't need a whole lot, and we'll measure that up for our tail, which we want about the length of the shank, of course. Bring that back, and we'll do a little pinch loop to lock that in on top. Couple wraps back and then forward. Okay, there's our tail. Now I'm going to snip that about where I'm going to be tying off the body. Okay, next is the pearl UV crystal flash, and I'm just going to use 1 strand on each side of the tail. So I'll tie that in on this side, my side here, with a couple wraps. Fold it over onto the other side, just like so. And that gives us 1 strand going down each side of the tail. And I'll snip that off to the same length as the tail. There we go. There's our flash. Okay. Now I'm going to move my thread forward here a ways and bind those fibers down. Alright. Now for the rib I'm using some extra fine copper wire. It's really small, well, it's more than small actually, it's the extra fine. So, and you adjust that according to what size you're tying on here. So we'll wrap that back on the far side, the side the camera's facing here, and we'll come up to about halfway and stop the thread there, and I'll put that in the material clip. Now, the body, of course, as you know, is peacock herl, and I have 4 strands here. And like always, I'm going to come back and snip off the brittle tips. We don't want those. This time I'll catch it in on my side, come back to almost in front of the tail but not quite, because as you see me do many times, I'm going to form a loop. Just take my finger, just an actual dubbing loop, and lock it in place. Now we're going to wrap back to in front of the, all the way here, grab the herl and the thread and wrap our thread back to where we want the body to start, then everything forward with the thread here and stop where we want to tie off. It's important to always leave that little eye length space behind the eye here. We don't want to crowd the eye with our materials. We have to wrap our collar hackle in. Okay, so I'll grab a pair of pliers. That's what you do next, and just start giving your little rope pair a twist. Lay that aside for a sec. I want a little bit of glue on the shank. Just squeeze out a little bit here. Okay, and I'll spread that around. Okay. Yeah, I could use the rotary, but I won't bother this time. I'm just going to wrap it the old way here. Well, not the old way, but as you would without a rotary vise. Okay, we'll just keep wrapping forward, forming a nice thick peacock body. You probably have to spin the rope once, sometimes twice, to keep it uniform as you wrap. And I'm going to take one more turn here and tie off. And as you can see, I still got that space there that I want. And we'll come underneath, forward a couple wraps, wrap it around and over the top, and lock that in. Turn the vise and snip it in nice and close. Alright, a couple more wraps to lock it in. Now we're going to counter wrap our fine copper wire here. Just going to wrap it the opposite way. This makes a nice, strong, durable body, forming the peacock rope, and also counter wrapping with the wire. Really helps when those trout grab a hold with their teeth and that. Our fly will last a lot longer. And we'll tie that off. Give it a little twist. Alrighty. Now we're down to our last step here. And I have a reddish brown hen hackle prepared. I have the soft fibers off the bottom, and I have the tip ready there and the hackle fiber stroked back. We'll tie that in right by the tip. Just like so here. I'll tie that in on top. Catch it in, and I'm going to also fold it back to lock it in place with a couple wraps. Cinch it down, and you want to reach in and get a hold of that little tip there and snip it off, or you can pull it off. I'll just give it a little snip. There we go. Alright, so now we're going to tie our hackle, or excuse me, rather, we're going to wrap the hackle, I should say. And for that, I like to use the plunger style hackle pliers, these type here, that I find them good for wrapping wet fly hackles. Pretty sure I tied this fly a long time ago on my old YouTube channel, but this one I just spiced it up a little bit with the UV. Yeah, okay, we'll wrap that forward, and when you want to use all the hackle, you come to the stem, just like so. Then we'll tie the stem off. Couple wraps. Snug it down tight. Release the pliers. I'm going to make one more wrap forward on that. Then I'll fold everything back, pinch it back, wrap down on that stem there. And if my fingers aren't too big, I can reach in and grab that stem, or you can also give it a cut. I'll just give it a little pull like so. Well, there you have it. We're just about done. All we got left to do now is build a neat little head on this guy. It doesn't take too many wraps. Just like so, and a wet finish. Grab my wet finisher here. Alrighty, and we'll do 4 or 5 turns here. Just give him a nice little head, and that'll finish him up. I'll go one more. Okay. There we go. Snug it down nice and tight. I'll come in and snip off the excess. And there we have it, folks. And all you'd have to do next is just finish him off with your favorite Hitsman or UV, whichever you want to use. Very simple wet fly, but I've had quite a bit of luck on it, so I thought you might like to see this little guy. Just a little different way of tying him. It's a popular little wet fly, but just a different version. Just by adding that little flash to the tail. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and you'll definitely give this guy a try if you have the materials, and give him a go the next time you're on the stream. So thank you very much for watching, and if you haven't subscribed yet, consider subscribing. I'd appreciate that a great deal, and happy tying out there, and we'll see you all again soon, folks. So long for now.